Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today's video, we are doing a full drugstore only, full glam makeup transformation, full coverage. You can complete this look with all drugstore products. If you want to see how I got this look, went from that to this, go ahead and keep watching. Welcome back. I am today showing you how you can go from a bare face to a full coverage, polished glam moment. I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Wet n Wild PhotoFocus foundation. It looks like this. I have the shade Bronze Beige, and this color matches my self-tan pretty well. I've already moisturized my skin and primed all of that. I went in with my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, same as usual. So I've tried this foundation a couple of times. I actually just picked it up. I do really like it. Something I don't like about it is the applicator is like this spatula. So it's not very hygienic to just be putting on your face and dipping back in, but okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get a good layer on here. And this is definitely full coverage enough for me, but I did want to mention, if you want a little more coverage, something you can pick up and add to any existing foundation you have is this Estee Lauder Double Wear Maximum Cover Camouflage Makeup for Face and Body. So it just looks like this. It's in this tube. I really like this. Alone, I wouldn't wear it just because it does look pretty heavy on the skin, but it is something, if you have a sheer foundation and you just want to add a couple drops in there, that'll really thicken up the pigment. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start blending out. And this shade, like, it does match pretty well. I went to Ulta last week and I got a ton of new stuff. So I have some first impression videos coming up for y'all. I have been sanitizing everything really well, including my makeup, because something I've never thought of before, but now it's really on my mind. So something I thought of, I was like, I always wash my hands before I touch my face anyway. Like if I'm taking out my makeup or washing my face in the morning, either way, I always wash my hands. I'm really weird about it. Something I thought of though was I'm washing my hands to pick up my bottle of face wash or my jar of concealer or my jar of foundation, whatever. And I don't know how clean those things are. I don't know. I mean, people grab them and to stock them on the shelves at the store and all of that. So I've been doing a lot of sanitizing all of my makeup, like the exterior, and then I've also gone through very frequently lately, and I've been cleaning all my brushes. So if y'all want a video on how to clean your brushes, I can do that for sure. I used to just wash them dish soap and water just because I didn't know any better, and that definitely ruins my brushes. Along the way, I've come up with a few good ideas to do them with stuff you already have probably. I do really love this foundation. The other thing about it that I'm not so sure about is the smell of it. It almost smells like paint thinner or something, which is a little bit scary, but okay. So next for concealer, I always use the e.l.f. 16-hour Camo Concealer. I love that, but I'm noticing it can be a little bit dry on my skin lately. So I actually picked up their new hydrating version. So it's the exact same, it's just it has a white cap instead of the black. This is the shade Medium Sand, which this is the same shade that I get in the regular formula, but I have heard that the shades don't match up perfectly. And I'm thinking this is gonna be a little bit dark and maybe a little bit pink. Yeah, so I have my lighter shade in the regular formula just to mix in. I didn't do a very good shade matching, but I'm hoping, typically I don't like super hydrating products underneath my eyes anyway, so I think the mixture of the two will be really good. Okay, so going in first with the hydrating one. Yeah, it definitely feels a lot like creamier, thin. It feels a lot creamier, thinner. It glides along the skin a lot more nicely than the original. The other one doesn't tug or anything. You can just tell this is definitely a thinner consistency. Okay, so we've got that placed on, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of this lighter shade. This is Fair Beige. It looks almost white, so I'm hoping just a tiny little bit of this will help us brighten everything up. Okay, so I just placed a couple dots on top, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this blended out. Okay, so we've got that pretty well blended out. I'm gonna go in now with my Wet n Wild PhotoFocus translucent powder. I'm gonna just take some of this, take my big powder brush, and when I'm setting my face, I always like to just tap in a little bit and just lightly like pounce over everything. So I'm touching on everything, making sure everything's getting set down, but I'm not adding a ton of product on top. I want to make sure every touch is very just like bouncy and light, and I also don't want to move the makeup we already have on our face, so. That coverage on the foundation is so nice. So now I'm gonna take my sponge that I was just using, and I'm just gonna lightly pounce over everything, which will really just help press that powder into the skin. And then I'm gonna go in with my Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer. It looks like this. I'm gonna take my blush brush. Looks like this. It's kind of tapered at the top, but it's very fluffy, very flexible. And I'm gonna go ahead and dip in and just lightly start bronzing. I haven't been going in lately with that dense brush for whatever reason. Sometimes typically it works really well. Every once in a while it can be a little too heavy and it can get a little bit muddy, and I'm not a fan. So I've just been using this lately, and especially I've been home. I hadn't even put on makeup until yesterday for like at least almost last week. So if I do put on makeup, I'm just like kind of brushing a little something on and calling it a day. Okay, and then I am gonna take that dense brush that I typically do use. It's the Kala 483 buffing brush, and I'm just dip in a little bit and just run on the sides of my nose a little, just to warm it up and give it a little more shape, but not much. Okay, now I'm going in with my Wet n Wild Megaglo highlighting powder. This is the shade Petals. And I'm just gonna lightly hit the high points of my cheeks and on the temple, just like this, and then I'll hit very lightly on the forehead. I'm going to dip into this Colourpop Double Entendre palette. This is what the shades inside look like. You can see they're all pretty bronzy, and there's some good nudes in here too. I'm gonna take the shade Extracurricular, and I'm gonna lightly tap in. And I'm just gonna go in on the crease in circular motions. Nothing too precise, I just wanna kind of fluff it in here for some definition. I have a new brow product too that I really like. I'm excited about it. Okay, so then I'm going to take my JH42 brush, and I'm going to take the shade, I think, Keep It PG. Let me show y'all. This is Keep It PG, and then this is Inhibited. Those are the two I'm kind of going between. So this one is Inhibited, and then this one is Keep It PG. They're both very pretty metallics. I might use both. Let's use both. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just spray my brush a little bit, and that'll really help us pick up the pigment, and it'll show up a lot nicer on the eyes. So I'm first going to take the shade Uninhibited. That's the darker shade that I showed y'all. And I'm just gonna start brushing this on the eyes. And I think I'm just gonna mix them. I'm gonna top this darker shade with that lighter one that we had. Okay, so then I'm gonna just take my finger and I'm going to use Keep It PG and just top a little bit of this in the center of the lid. You can see it kind of brightened it up just a little bit, but I really like that. Okay. Okay, so after I did that, I always like to go back in with the original blending brush I used, because sometimes you can go a little bit outside of the lines and you don't want to see exactly where you applied it. So I'll just kind of run my brush in a couple times, and that always gets rid of it. And if you don't have a setting spray to spray your brush that we use the metallics on, you can always just spray it with some water, run it under the sink. I've done that multiple times. So for this kind of summery look, I'm using this shade. It's kind of a coral, nice pretty color. This is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush, and they say that it's primer infused because that will make it last longer on the skin, and I really have noticed that. Blush always wears off so quickly on me, and this one tends to hold up a lot longer. And this is the shade Always Cheeky. So we're gonna move on to brows. I still do love this Instant Lift brow pencil. I'm going to use this, but I also found a new product. It's a new brow gel. It's also from e.l.f. This is the Wow Brow, and this is the shade Taupe. I use the same shade in both of these. So it just looks like this. It's a tiny little wand, and you can see on here that the gel is a little bit tinted, and I really like it. I think it really gives the brows some extra texture, which a clear brow gel does that, but this kind of fluffs them up and like volumizes them a little bit more. So I really like that. So I'm going to start out with this Instant Lift brow pencil with the spoolie side, and I'm just going to brush all my brow hairs up like I normally do. I'm going to go ahead and just take my pencil, fluff up with some little strokes in the front, just like that. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So then I'll go ahead and take this gel, and I'm just gonna start feathering it through. I like it because it darkens my brows, but it also like thickens them up. Like you can already see, I just combed through this part and it looks so much thicker than this side. And it doesn't look heavy on the brows. It doesn't look super unnatural. And I'll go through on that front part as well, where we filled in with the pencil, just so we can make sure the color is perfectly blended and we don't have any like weird gaps. It just really volumizes the hairs. I don't know like how it even does that. Okay, so brows are done. So now I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild Megaliner. I'm just gonna do a thin line across the top. I am gonna apply lashes today, so I don't want a wing or anything. I just want to make sure we have a line there that will hide the band of the lashes. Okay, so we're ready to go ahead and apply lashes. These are the Ardell lashes in the style Little Black Dress. Before we apply, I'm going to go ahead and curl my natural lashes. Okay, so lashes are curled. We're going to go ahead and apply a little bit of mascara just so they blend in nicely. Okay, so lashes are on. We're gonna apply some bottom lash mascara, and I'm just using the Essence Get Big lashes. And then moving on to lips, we're going to be using the Essence Stay 8-Hour Lip Liner. It says it's waterproof. Oh, and it comes, okay, cool. It comes with a little sharpener on the end, so it just clips right in. And this is the shade, it's shade 1 because duh. So I'm gonna go ahead and line my lips with this. Okay, that was my first time using this, and I really like it. It's really creamy. It's like very emollient. I can tell it probably won't last that long just because it melts away so fast, but the built-in sharpener is really nice. Now I'm going to be using for lipstick, this is the Megalast Wet n Wild Liquid Catsuit, and this is the shade Send Nudes 944B. So I'm going to take this and just fill in my lips. I'm not sure about this. I like this, but when I pull it out, each time I pull it out of the like component, it just doesn't put that much product on the applicator, and so I keep dipping back in. It's gone immediately once I touch my lips. So last thing we have to do is go ahead and set the face. I have the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Everyone has this. Everyone's been trying this and like raving about it. I just got it, and it's so not, the mister is like, it's so fine. And I find I like to use the Wet n Wild one though. That setting spray, I love it, but once it gets down to the end, the mister sucks. It's like splotching water dots on your face and you can see them. So this is really nice. I'll have to see how it works once it gets down to the end, but I think since it's like an aerosol can, it won't have that same issue since typically they have like the tube running down into them. And like, so we're gonna go ahead and set the face with this. Okay everyone, so that is going to complete today's look. I hope you enjoyed going from a bare face to this full glam in under 15 minutes. If you have another video idea for me, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys in the next one.